All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Today we're diving into the latest happenings in the Faroe Islands. Politics, news, you name it. And we've got a whole stack of fresh articles straight from local sources.
It's fascinating. Even on a day like New Year's Day, there's a lot going on.
Right. Okay, so first up, politics.
Well, King Frederick of Denmark, he's updated the royal coat of arms.
Oh, yeah. He added symbols for both the Faroe Islands and Greenland.
He did, yep.
Yeah.
And it's actually the first change to the coat of arms since 1972, believe it or not.
Wow. No kidding.
Quite significant.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so what else is happening in the political sphere?
Well, Prime Minister Axel V. Johannesson, he gave his New Year's speech, of course.
Right, of course.
And he really emphasized this idea of self-reliance moving forward, matching the world's strength, that kind of thing.
He did, yeah. But he also kind of pushed back against talk of a Faroe Islands exit, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
He really stressed the importance of, keeping those strong ties with Denmark.
Interesting. So kind of navigating those waters carefully, it seems. All right, what about local politics? Anything going on there?
Well, the elections in Torshavn, they saw something pretty unique this time around.
Oh?
Yeah, a citizens group, actually. They entered the scene alongside the more, well, traditional political parties.
Huh, fascinating.
Oh.
Okay, well, moving on from politics, what's happening in the news? Anything catch your eye?
Oh, definitely. There was a car fire near the Strawn Tunnel entrance.
Oh, wow. Was anyone hurt?
No injuries, thankfully, but it did take emergency services like 45 minutes to respond.
Wow, that's a while.
Yeah, and here's the thing. No one was at the scene when they arrived.
Huh. A little mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely raises some questions. But on a brighter note, Job Match 2024 just finished up over at the Nordic House.
Oh, right. How did that go?
Really well, actually. High attendance, both
Hmm.
from companies and job seekers.
That's great to hear. Good for them. Anything else?
There's this ongoing debate, right,
Yeah.
about the construction of a fish meal and oil factory by Vareen Pelagic in Faroe.
Right, I remember hearing about that. What's the latest?
Well, environmental concerns are, kind of at the forefront of the issue. Lots of discussion happening around that.
Sure. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit. How about sports? What's new there?
Well, Torkil Vehe, he's been appointed as the national coach.
Oh, yeah. For what sport?
Both, actually. Cycling and triathlon.
Wow, 2 sports. That's quite the responsibility.
It is. And the U17 girls national football team, they're in training, getting ready for some upcoming competitions.
That's great. Good for them. They're really dedicated, especially considering it's, the holiday season and all.
Exactly. Very impressive.
Okay, before we move on to anything else, let's get a quick weather update. What's the forecast looking like?
Well, they're saying cold temperatures and low winds for the next few days.
Brr, sounds chilly.
It does, but, perfect conditions if you want to enjoy those winter landscapes.
Yeah, that's true. Always a silver lining. Okay, well, why don't we take a quick break here, and then when we come back, we'll dive into some more news and updates from the Faroe Islands. So that fish meal factory, that whole debate kind of ties into something we're seeing more and more of, right?
Yeah, you're right. There's definitely a growing concern about environmental issues.
Yeah. Like there's this push to implement stricter rules around fireworks sales, for example.
Oh, right, because of the impact on air quality, right?
Exactly. So it seems like people are really starting to pay attention to those things. What else are people focused on these days?
Well, one thing that's really interesting is the rise in popularity of electric cars, or elbilar, as they call them here.
Oh, yeah, I read something about that. It's pretty significant, right?
Yeah, some reports are even suggesting they're approaching like almost half of all car sales.
Wow, that's a huge shift. Okay, so what else caught your attention in the news? Anything particularly noteworthy?
Well, get this. The European Darts Championship. It's going to be hosted in the Faroe Islands.
No way. Really?
Yep.
In 2026.
Wow, that's pretty big news. It's amazing to see the Faroe Islands, attracting these major events.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what else is going on?
Well, there's been some talk about rent subsidies.
Oh, right. What about them?
Well, apparently there's going to be a decrease, like 21 million.
I bet that's sparking a lot of debate.
It is, yeah.
Mm.
Especially around, housing affordability, particularly for people who rely on those subsidies.
Sure, makes sense. Okay, anything else you wanted to touch on?
Oh, there was this kind of a strange story. This woman, Sheila Fox, she disappeared in Coventry.
Coventry.
Yeah, in England, back in 1972. But get this, she was recently found alive and well.
What? No way.
Yeah, it's wild. It really makes you think,
It really does. Earlier we talked about Prime Minister Johansson's New Year's speech
Hmm.
and his emphasis on self-reliance for the Faroe Islands. Well, there seems to be a bit of pushback against that.
Yeah, you're right. Some people are urging him to reconsider certain tax policies. What kind of tax policies?
Well, they're saying that some of these policies are actually driving people away from the islands.
Interesting. It's always a challenge, isn't it?
It is trying to balance economic competitiveness with the needs of the people.
Absolutely. It's a complex issue, not just in the Faroe Islands, but everywhere, really.
Exactly.
Oh, hey, did you see that story about the village with the same population as the entire island of Favolba?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It's kind of mind-boggling. It really speaks to the close-knit communities here and just the unique character of life in the Faroe Islands.
Totally. It's those little details that make it such a special place.
Right. It really makes you appreciate the diversity,
Yeah.
even in such a small nation. Okay, well, it seems like we've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
from politics and economics to those environmental concerns, even a little bit of mystery thrown in there.
And of course, a bit of sports.
Oh, right. Can't forget about sports. So we've got one last segment for you coming up where we'll share some final thoughts and reflections on everything we learned today. All right, we're back for our final segment. And before we wrap up completely, there are a couple more stories I thought we could touch on.
Oh, okay. What else did you find?
Well, there's this really heartwarming one about the Showerful Folkefalagnum. That's the Faroe's First Aid Association.
Right. Okay.
They're actually giving all their members a special New Year's gift.
Oh, what is it?
6 months of free membership.
Wow, that's really generous of them. It's nice to see that kind of, community support, especially these days.
Yeah, for sure. And then this interesting, Norway is providing some financial assistance to Faroe's fishing boats.
Really? What kind of assistance?
They're helping cover the cost of bait.
Huh. That's interesting. It shows how, those two nations really work together, especially when it comes to the fishing industry, which is, such a big part of both their economies.
Definitely. Oh, and speaking of international relations, did you see anything about Putin's New Year's greetings?
Yeah, I did. He didn't extend greetings to the Faroe Islands this year.
Interesting. I wonder what that means for the relationship between the two.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on.
Okay, so as we wrap up here, I think it's safe to say we covered a lot of ground today.
Right, we did.
I mean, we talked about everything from local politics. Those elections in Tórshavn were pretty fascinating.
Decked up.
And then, of course, all those economic developments and even some international news.
We even had a little mystery in there.
Oh, right. The
Wow.
missing woman, yeah. So it really goes to show you, even on what seems like a quiet day, there's always something happening in the Faroe Islands.
It really is a dynamic place, constantly evolving, always engaging with the world in new and interesting ways.
Absolutely. So we hope this deep dive has given you a good sense of what's going on. But of course, this is just a snapshot, right? The story continues. And we encourage you to keep following along, keep exploring, and see what unfolds in the Faroe Islands in the coming year. I mean, who knows what fascinating stories are waiting to be discovered.